Hi everyone, Patrick Martin here, and in this episode I am going to show you 2 methods of deep breathing for anxiety relief. Let's go. Welcome back to the Mental Health Toolbox. If you're just meeting me for the first time, my name is Patrick Martin, and I'm a therapist on a mission to help raise mental health awareness by teaching others actionable information and coping skills to improve their personal development through skills I've learned as a therapist, but also in my own journey of self-improvement. All right, so let's go. Just a disclaimer reminder that this episode is not medical advice or a treatment plan and is intended for general education and demonstration purposes only. If you need a professional, you should get one, and always consult with your healthcare professional before practicing anything contained in these episodes. For more information on the disclaimer, you can find that in the description below. Thank you so much. My dog is trying to eat my shoes. This is my new puppy, my daughter's new puppy, and he is making it very hard to record. He just wants to eat my shoes and get into trouble and eat my cords under my table. All right, but you have to be quiet for the video, okay? All right, bye-bye. Hey, if you're getting value from any of the videos I put out on this channel, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. And if you happen to be listening in via the podcast, be sure to subscribe as well and leave an iTunes review. That really helps me out, okay? I appreciate that. And then if you're interested in any of the books I recommend, a lot of the coping skills I discuss come from books I've read and recommend. You can hop over to mhtgear.com. That's mhtgear.com to see a full list of my recommended books, okay? Thank you so much. So today I want to talk to you about deep breathing. Deep breathing is oftentimes thought of as a part of meditation or something that requires a lot of practice, but in reality, it isn't one of those things where you have to be a monk. Sometimes when I think about deep breathing or meditation, I have this image in my head about being on a mountaintop, meditating, crisscross applesauce, kind of thing, or having to be a yogi. But the truth is, when it comes to deep breathing, it's actually one of the most recommended coping skills because it's convenient and it's easy to practice. So in this episode, I'm going to teach you 2 ways to go about deep breathing to help reduce your stress and address your anxiety in the moment, wherever you are, okay? A coping skill should be convenient and accessible in real time so that when you're triggered, you can put it into practice right away, right? Because when you're talking about anxiety especially, it's all about being able to intervene in the moment, whether it's catching that anxious thought or calming down your body through biofeedback, like in this example with deep breathing, so that you minimize the propensity to run away and avoid stressful situations, right? We're trying to increase our threshold, right, for triggers and things that make us anxious. And so deep breathing is one of those ways to de-escalate in the moment so that you're less likely to evade and then give up more territory in life to something that you don't have to, all right? And this is why deep breathing is one of my favorite coping skills and one of the most popular coping skills you hear about in the realm of mental health, is because it is one of those things you can just pull out of your pocket and put into practice. It's not something that requires a whole lot of friction in terms of access. All right, first I would like to talk to you about why deep breathing works, okay? The acute stress response is actually responsible for the increased heart rate and the shallow breathing that we often associate with anxiety. It's your fight or flight response that's being activated via the sympathetic nervous system. And so when we put deep breathing into practice, rather than being the gas, like the sympathetic nervous system, the stress response, we're actually engaging in the rest and digest response for the body that activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And so deep breathing is a quick way to access that rest and digest response and send a message back to our brain that we're safe and secure, we're not in danger, there's no tiger chasing us, all right? The American Institute of Stress puts it this way: deep breathing increases the supply of oxygen to your brain and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes a state of calmness. Breathing techniques help you feel connected to your body. It brings your awareness away from the worries in your head and quiets the mind. There's another article Why Deep Breathing Helps Calm Anxiety by Psych Central, which explains how deep breathing actually turns off the body's stress response. And I'll be sure to include that in the description. All right, so we talked about why it works. Now I'd like to share with you how it works. So when it comes to deep breathing, there's really two methods I would like to share with you. The first of which is 4x4 breathing, and the second of which is 4x8 breathing. So with the 4x4 breathing, sometimes referred to as box breathing, we will count 4 seconds in through the nose and 4 seconds out through the mouth. And a nice thing about 4x4 is we can use imagery for this. It's used by the military, oftentimes also because it's easy to remember, easy to implement. All right, so imagine a square or a box, right? And each line represents 4 seconds. So if I'm counting 4 seconds in through my nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out through my mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out again, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it would look something like this. See? Simple enough. And you can do this. I usually encourage at least a minute of deep breathing is usually when it's effective. But you do as much or little as you need to. So that's box breathing, again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now, what sets this apart from 4x8 breathing is that it's oftentimes less concentrated, right? 4x8 breathing is sometimes referred to as pursed breathing because we're actually pursing our lips a little bit to restrict the airflow, right? And this helps to work the lungs a little bit harder, okay? With 4x8 breathing too, we're focusing a lot more on the abdomen, right? With the deep breathing. You've heard of breathing through your stomach and not your chest sometimes. That's exactly what we're talking about. So you'll actually feel your stomach expand and should be doing most of the work for you in your diaphragm. Now with the 4x8 breathing, we are generally aiming for 6 breaths a minute, okay? But certainly like with any exercise, you want to tailor this to your needs or your limitations, and you can always work your way up to that if it's feasible for you. But just a note of caution, as with any skill, definitely do that if you start to feel lightheaded or if it's sending a signal to your body that this doesn't feel safe, then don't do it. You can just modify it as needed. But definitely always talk to your doctor when practicing these things if you have any issues, okay? All right, so with 4x8 breathing, we're gonna again breathe in through the nose 4 seconds, through our diaphragm, and then out 8 seconds through our mouth. But this time, remember, we're pursing our lips. So it looks something like this. Much slower, right? And again, we're focusing on the abdomen, to do most of the work for us. All right? And so that's much slower breathing, and sometimes the 4x4 breathing is a little more reasonable if you don't have a whole lot of time to focus that hard on your breathing. And it requires, less to think about. But when it comes to, if you have a little more time, a little more wiggle room, such as, if you're doing a kind of guided meditation, mindfulness, just some quiet time at home, practice the deep breathing. I recommend the 4x8 if you have the time. Okay, so hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, anything you would like me to talk about on this channel regarding mental health, self-improvement, just leave me a comment and I'll be happy to add that to my content calendar and dive into it with you. Okay, so as always, keep using these tools to improve your quality of life, keep thriving, and make good things happen. All right, you take care now. Bye-bye. Deep breathing increases the supply of oxygen to your brain and Deep breathing increases the supply of oxygen